Good evening, everyone. I am Chris, joined once again with Dale, continuing our Disney 100 Years of Wonder retrospective, where we go through all the Disney animated classics. I think next week we're coming up to a year, or maybe it's this week, actually. Was it the 16th of October? We started all of this off with Snow White. I think that was the original date, wasn't it, of the
I
founding
can
of the
confirm
company?
we started with Snow White, yes.
I think it was around this time because I remember being really, really like deathly ill last year, and I was watching Disney movies. I was starting to watch them ahead of the retrospective. I remember that. So yeah, it's crazy. I told you it would go quick. We've gone through a lot of movies, but
My tongue is starting to swell up, so I'll probably be really ill by in 2 weeks.
oh no, is this like?
Yeah, to the point where I'm just not gonna I'm not gonna be able to breathe and I'll die. So
Oh no, imagine if like you can't be on for like the Frozen review. What are we gonna do? That's like your favorite Disney movie.
what? Imagine we just get to that and that's when I die, and it's like, we were so
Oh no.
we're almost there.
So we're up to number 48 today. Bolt, which is, we can confirm this is an actual Disney film, unlike The Wild from a couple of weeks ago.
Is it though?
I think it is. You know what? This was one that I actually hadn't seen before, so I watched this for the first time today. The last four that we reviewed, I'd never seen before. So Chicken Little, The Wild, Meet the Robinsons, and this one, that was kind of like the main block of Disney films that I hadn't watched for whatever reason. When we started this retrospective, it was the World War II era kind of stuff where you had Saludos Amigos, Three Caballeros I'd seen, but Melody Time, Make My Music and stuff, those I hadn't watched. And then this was the other group of Disney films I'd never watched before. So, yeah, I can now say I've pretty much seen all of them, apart from the recent few, which is Strange World and Wish. So,
yeah, I mean, this was no, it was. I thought this was a very good movie. I do enjoy this movie, but it still doesn't feel like a Disney movie to me. We still feel like we're in some weird era where it's not Disney movie. It feels like a Pixar movie. It's very superhero. Well, obviously, but it's that kind of thing, and it's not. It just doesn't feel fully like a Disney movie. I mean, it's more like a Disney movie than some that's been on here, but it's just. I don't know. I just like when I watched it as a kid, I didn't think, it's another Disney classic. Like it's the next Disney movie. That's not how I saw it. I just saw it as a movie, and I think I assumed it was Disney because it had Miley Cyrus in it. Like that's kind of it. So yeah, I don't know. It just doesn't feel like it's still a Disney classic. I feel we're still in that period where everything is just, here's a Disney classic, here's a Disney classic. It's like, yeah, but is it though? There isn't anything wrong with just making a movie that's made by Disney.
what are sort of the qualities then? What's the criteria for something for you that makes it feel like a Disney classic?
Well, do you know what? I was thinking about this today because when I thought that, I was like, well, there's got to be certain things for me that would make it a Disney classic. I don't know how to explain it, but because it's quite superhero like, it's kind of like Big Hero 6 because it's quite superhero like. No, but I mean, Big Hero 6, I still thought was a good movie. I've seen it too many times because it makes me watch it so often, so I hate it now. But aside from that, it was a good movie. But like that doesn't feel like a Disney movie. So I think it's Disney movies have got to have that quality where it makes you feel like a child again. And I guess but then again, that's personal preference, isn't it? Because with this, some people could look at it and say, "Oh, it does," because I can see that as well with the relationship between Penny and Bolt, with the whole, and Bolt lives in a fantasy world. It can be like that. Just to me, it just like I say, it feels more like a Disney movie than some we've seen. It just to me, it's just I don't know. Maybe I'm still pissed about the animation. I don't know. It might be that, like the animation is good, yes, sure, but I mean, in comparison to the others in the 2D, maybe I'm still a little bit like we're missing 2D. That might just be that because we've done this retrospective and seeing it like that, that might be where my head's at. But I don't know. Yeah, it's a good question, isn't it? What would qualify as a proper Disney classic?
Yeah, because when you mention that, I think of what do I think of when I think of Disney, and my head immediately goes to sort of like the traditional fairy tale stories, Snow White, Cinderella, Sleeping Beauty, all of those, Beauty and the Beast, right? And I think that is inherently Disney to me when I think about it. But then when we go through the retrospective, look at all the ones that we absolutely love. We've got Robin Hood, we've got Black Cauldron. Black Cauldron is so divorced from all of those qualities of a Disney film, really. So I think it's difficult to really sort of pin down whether it's like a creative, bold, original idea. maybe. I say original idea. Most of the Disney classics that we've seen are based on some kind of novel or traditional folklore or something like that. So even that's difficult to qualify. I get what you mean. I think it's like when Bolt came out, I don't remember much about it around that time. I don't know what the marketing was like for this thing, but I guess when you look at the poster on the surface, it doesn't jump out to you as this brand new, stop everything, I need to go and watch this film. Maybe it kind of feels like an animated film that falls into the minutiae of all the other, slew of animated films that come out from all the other companies, maybe.
Well, this is the thing. I think maybe it is that animation thing that's just kind of, because I agree, like what you said, Black Cauldron is like miles away from what would be a Disney movie. But like maybe it's that it's blended with Pixar, and I think it was a bad decision because it does feel just like a Pixar movie now. Even like the way, like when they're on like the removal, it's the removal truck, on the truck and it opens, and it just reminded me of very Toy Story. And
yes, yeah,
it doesn't feel like it's got its own. Like Disney classics had their own sort of look as a Disney classic. It just feels like now it could be any movie.
Yeah,
and I think that's where Disney have missed out. They've done that quite a lot, and it might just be because doing this, I'm just nostalgic to the 2D stuff, which is why. But I don't know. It does feel more like a Disney classic though than the others. Like it feels it's better than Meet the Robinsons, and the animation's so much better than Meet the Robinsons.
Yeah, no, the animation
feels like them years apart. What are they, 2 years? But it feels like a lot more.
It's 1 year, I think, isn't it?
Oh,
Meet Robinsons with 2007, I think.
There you go.
Yeah, even more mind-blowing as well. I don't know if this is inherently true. This is just from my reading of the film. The fact that they managed to get all the animation done for this film in 18 months, when usually they have 4 years with a film of this scale. But you could definitely see a ramp up in the animation. I actually quite like some of the animation in Meet the Robinsons. It is very strange and wacky, as Denny says in the comments. Meet the Robinsons is an acid trip. I completely agree. There was a lot of heart and charm to that one, though. But even from the offset of this one, the camera angles, the fluidity, the bit where you've got Penny's the name of the girl, isn't it? I think, who he's trying to get back to, when she's on that the scooter.
Wait, are you talking Meet the Robinsons or this?
The Bolt. Sorry, I'm back to Bolt.
Penny. Yeah,
Penny, where she's on the super speed scooter at the beginning. It's like something out of Spy Kids, and you've got the camera angles, and the camera's like ducking underneath trucks and whizzing around corners and everything. Like you can see a huge, massive upgrade in terms of what the camera can do now and what we can do with computer animation, which is outstanding. Because we talked about the last few films with Chicken Little, The Wild, and Meet the Robinsons, and how they kind of look unrefined a little bit. They get progressively better, maybe. We don't talk about The Wild because The Wild isn't even a Disney animated classic. It is, but it isn't. We talked about that in
movie. Didn't happen.
But Chicken Little, especially for a film that came out, that was 2006, looked very cheap and very unrefined and very experimental, despite the fact that animated films had already been well established before that point in terms of computer animation. This was a huge step up. The animation to this looked fantastic, I thought. But I'm glad you mentioned Toy Story, because I was going to bring that up. There are numerous moments in this film where I was getting Toy Story vibes. Chief among them, you have the character of Bolt, played by John Travolta in the movie, who reminds me of that Buzz Lightyear-like character. Believes this is a toy, and in this he believes he is like an actual real life superhero, and doesn't realize he's on a TV show. And you have that similar low point for the character like Buzz Lightyear with I Will Go Sailing No More, where he finally realizes he's a toy, and in this where he realizes he's not super after all, he's just a dog. His whole life has been a lie, essentially. He's had like a massive existential crisis. And then also, like bits with the moving truck and everything, and even the cat character in this, which I'm trying to remember the name of, Mittens.
I'm doing really good with names today.
You have, no. I'm still getting used to them. I've only watched it once.
I'm usually really bad at names, but yeah.
Mittens really reminds me of Jessie. When she says that my family abandoned me and left me, and I thought they loved, when somebody loved me. I thought it was going to go into a whole backstory of that kind of thing, like Toy Story 2. So it is very similar in a lot of regards, and I don't know how much of that is down to what was the original plot outline and it's just a happy coincidence, or I don't know if that is some of that Pixar acquisition stuff coming into it, perhaps.
Yeah, I think it is, and it is still like I still hate the fact that it's 3D now for Disney classics. I absolutely hate that. Yeah, it doesn't feel like a Disney classic. Like I say, I'm really looking forward to seeing how I feel for like when we get to Tangled and stuff, which I always saw as Disney classics, but that's because the premise was so Disney
Yeah.
princess, this sort of stuff. So I'm looking forward to seeing how I feel this next time round, because I might see it and go, yeah, it still doesn't feel like one. Or
No, I think you will. I think it's the songs, the
well,
structure,
yeah,
the villain,
this
and
is the
everything.
thing. It
Yeah.
it might, but the reason I'm looking forward to seeing that is because if it doesn't make me feel like a Disney classic, I'll know 100% it's just the animation, and that's why. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see, because I could then just be taken back to it and be like, yeah, it's the themes, it's this, I don't know. But with this, it's just it is a good movie. I like, the relationship between pretty much all the characters. I don't have an issue with any of the characters in it. I think they're all quite fun. They all share, get their, normal level of screen time. There's none of this overbearing, like, all right, we get it, move. Like, you know what I mean? None of this Chicken Little vibes where they're all over the top and like, okay, shut up now. Like, it's not that. I feel like they're fleshed out, and I feel like the voice actors embody them quite well. They play the part that they need to play.
Do you think it's a little bit sort of celebrity of the week voices, maybe a little bit with this one? Like, oh, we'll get John Travolta in to
Well,
play Bolt, or do you think it
you
works
say
Miley
that,
Cyrus and whatnot?
but the Breadman's not in it this time. Patrick
Oh,
Warburton.
Patrick
Yeah,
Warburton, yeah.
he's not
No,
in it this time.
they've broken the streak. They were going
Yeah.
strong, weren't they? Yeah.
I don't know. I did think that, but there's was it the guy? He sounds like James Woods, but he's not.
Who? Which character?
In it, this is where I'm bad with names again. In it, the guy with the multicolored eyes,
Oh,
Caligula.
Malcolm McDowell. Malcolm McDowell plays him.
Yeah, but he sounds like James Woods, doesn't he?
I thought he did a little bit as well.
That's it.
Yeah,
That's what. Yeah, exactly.
well, no,
I'm
I
not
thought
wrong.
Ian McShane at first. When I heard the voice, I thought, is that Ian McShane? And then I googled. I was like,
Who's
oh
the
no, I
character he
remember.
plays? What's his name again? Not Caligula.
Dr. Calico or something.
That's it, Calico.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
The guy looks like David Bowie with his two coloured eyes.
Yeah. Denny in the comments says, I agree that Pixar and Disney have really mixed vibes. I find it harder to pinpoint if it's Pixar or Disney. If I didn't know, Big Hero 6 is also Pixar-ish. Yeah, and I think the biggest offender of that, sort of the other way around, is Brave, which was meant to be a Disney animated classic. It was originally meant to be called The Bow and the Bear. Probably Pixar acquisition, things get changed around, we get Brave, and you watch that, and that doesn't feel... It is a Pixar film, but it doesn't feel like a Pixar film. That feels more like a Disney animated classic, despite it being a Pixar film.
Yeah,
so...
and this is the thing. It's like Wreck-It Ralph. That could have been Pixar.
Yes, yeah.
That's a very good example of how it could have been Pixar. I still stand by that's a good movie though.
Oh, this is controversial. I disagree with this one, but Denny says I think they should just take the L and stop separating them because they're the same Disney classic. Because they're the same. Disney classics don't exist anymore. I mean, I kind of agree with the sentiment of that when you look at the next few that are coming out: Moana 2, Zootopia 2, Frozen 3.
I am a firm believer not a single sequel should be in Disney classics. Saying that, one of my favourites, Rescuers Down Under.
I was going to say that's great. Yeah.
Which is weird, but the thing is, I knew about that before I knew about Rescuers. That was the first one I saw. So I guess, mentally it's going to feel a bit different. But I still firmly believe not a single sequel should be in that, because to be a Disney classic, you've technically, because the way Disney classic, like being a classic, it's that story that's the classic. It doesn't matter whether it's number 1 or number 2 or number 3. You can't then put number 2, like Frozen 2 or Moana 2, as another Disney classic. So it's like, well, no, the Disney classic is Frozen. The fact that you've got a sequel means nothing. Okay, cool, you've got a sequel to that Disney classic, but it's not another number. You can't do that. Like, it's in the name, it's Disney classic. Otherwise, you're just like, well, these are 2 separate stories. No, they're not. This is one thing. You've made a sequel of it. It's not a Disney classic. Move on. Make another Disney classic. I'm still a firm believer of that. So I agree with that. They don't exist in that way, but I think it's still possible to make them. I just think they need to... Like, because I said it the other time, didn't I? It feels like now anything can just be slapped on Disney classic, which I think it's really taken away from what it is. And we're really seeing that with the animation shift, with The Wild turning into a Disney classic, with things that do not feel like Disney classics. I'm okay to forgive the feeling one, because it might be down to, the tropes that I'm used to or whatever. But I don't know. I do feel like a lot of things now. It's like, oh, Disney can make a movie and just go, oh fuck, it's a classic to sell the movie, and I think that's wrong.
Yeah, I feel the name classic really used to carry weight with it, and you used to have that feeling with the grand majority of their films. Now it feels like, well, we'll call it a classic because it's just the next film that Disney Animation Studios is making. It's all from the higher ups. It doesn't seem like, yeah, we're really proud. Like Beauty and the Beast was a complete overhaul. Really helped springboard the Disney Renaissance. I think it was one of the first films to sort of be nominated for Best Picture, wasn't it, or to get that category of Best Animated Feature. Now, not so much. It just feels like, right, what's popular? Let's go with that. And, oh, well, it's the next film that this studio is going to be making. So I guess it kind of falls into the list of animated classics because that's, I do think the novelty and the gravitas that the name classic used to carry is greatly diminished now. I do believe that.
Yeah, 100%. And that's the sad thing about it.
Yeah. Denise says, I find myself enjoying Pixar way more now, whereas when I was a kid, I was all about Disney classics. Disney movies don't hit the same. I enjoy Inside Out, but I couldn't enjoy Moana. I enjoyed. It's been a while since I've watched it, but I have watched Moana a good few times, and I do enjoy it. Again, it'll be interesting to see how it'll function now because we're watching these in sequence this time, which I've never done before with a Disney classic.
Well, I've not watched a Pixar movie since what was the last one I watched? What came out after Brave?
Oh Lord! Oh God! Now you've asked me something.
Because I'm trying to think what the latest one I've watched.
Oh, you saw Lightyear, didn't you?
Is that a Pixar? It does not feel like a Pixar movie. Again, it
feels
like
Pixar. It's Toy Story related. Isn't
I know, but it's not. That felt so different.
Oh,
I mean,
God,
that's another conversation. How that doesn't feel like a Pixar movie.
Jesus, do you remember The Good Dinosaur? Fuck me, I went to the cinema.
Yeah, I've not watched that. But someone did ruin the ending for me, so I didn't go to watch it. But I've forgotten what it was, so I might watch it one day.
I haven't watched the last good few actually Pixar.
What was after Brave?
After Brave, you have Monsters University.
Didn't watch that.
Then you have Inside Out.
Oh, I watched that. That was okay.
The Good Dinosaur, Finding Dory, Cars 3, Coco.
Why would they make a sequel to Finding Nemo? Fucking shit movie.
I know. Wait, no. Hang on, no. Finding Nemo is fantastic. I agree with the sentiment. Why make a sequel to it, though?
Yeah, it's okay. It's not shit. I that's probably a long thing, but yes.
So the last one I watched was Luca, which was straight to Disney Plus, and then they did Turning Red, which was also straight to Disney Plus. Lightyear, which I heard was terrible. Elemental, which I think made its money back, but I heard that wasn't great. Maybe, I don't know. I haven't watched it. And Inside Out 2, which I've heard is very good.
Well, Lightyear doesn't feel like a Pixar movie. It feels like a spin-off that's like cool, amazing. Yeah. Let's get on with life. But Incredibles 2 was apparently shit, wasn't it?
It was. Incredibles 2 was awful. Really missed opportunity. Because I do think you could have done a really compelling, interesting sequel to that, set however many years it has been since the first Incredibles to that second one, but they didn't do that.
It's the same with Pixar. Like, years ago when you used like Bug's Life, Toy Story, even like the first Monsters Inc., which I'm not the biggest fan of, but like, those times like Pixar movies were great. Then they started I feel like they just started diminishing. I don't know. I feel like there's something nowadays where everything seems to get, this is a Disney classic. This is, being one of those numbered Pixar movies. Pixar's a bit different because they don't call them Pixar classics. But yeah, I feel like anything can be, I don't know. I just feel like the quality and the not hierarchy, but what I mean? Like you say, it used to mean something to be a Disney classic. Mm-hmm. Now it just feels like anything can be given the name.
Well, this one, going back to Bolt now, was a fair success, I think. I mean, I don't know how much the budget was for marketing and everything like that. The budget for the movie,
Cyrus was in it, though, isn't it?
Well, yeah. The budget was 150 million, apparently, and it made 310. So maybe turned a small profit, I would say, once marketing is on top of that and included. But what it is regarded as, apparently, is to help instigate the rebirth of Disney Animation Studios. And you had that with Meet the Robinsons, but I don't think it was, I don't think it arrived on the scene with a great fanfare, whereas Bolt helped, and probably from the animation and the capabilities of the animation, because there was some new tech that was invented for this film, which I'll get onto later regarding the animation. It did kind of pave the way for the big critically acclaimed ones, which we're going to have in a few films' time with the likes of Tangled and Frozen and whatnot. So this did kind of set the scene for that. It was nominated for Best Animated Feature as well, but then again, which Disney film isn't? They kind of all are. Golden Globes and things like that. Going into this film, I knew nothing about it. I knew that there was a dog, and I knew that there was somewhere in the film a hamster and a little hamster ball. That was all I knew about the film. Nothing beyond that. I didn't know anything about the story or anything at all. So it started off, and I was instantly drawn in. It's like the nice, cute scene with a cute animated puppy, and if you're a dog lover, it just tugs on the heartstrings, as Disney always do. And it was kind of shaping up to be almost like an Oliver and Company kind of thing, I thought, with this, this little girl coming in and, wanting the pet dog. And then the massive whiplash that I got, the tonal whiplash, where it just comes up like, done, 5 years later. And then it's just like, Penny, I love you, my dear. Like, don't try and save me. And it's like this spy drama. I was like, oh my God, what are we doing now? And he's a super dog and he's been imbued with superpowers. And I thought, okay, this isn't where I thought this film was going to go. Okay, but we've got a super dog now. Interesting. And then it throws you for another loop, and it's like, well, no, actually, this is a twist within a twist, because none of this is real. It's a TV show. It's like the opening to Austin Powers Goldmember, where you think it's the real thing and then it's actually a film. I don't know what the budget is for this fictional TV show, though, because holy fuck, that shot where you have like the whole squad of vans and helicopters and he does the super bark and it's like the shockwave that takes them all out. What kind of budget does this TV show have? Because this is insane.
Yeah. I mean, how many viewers does it have? You've got to think, like, how popular is it?
Because all of this is on set, because they say they do all of this to make sure the dog... I love the director character as well at the very beginning. He never crops up again, I don't think, which is strange, but he's an artiste, and he says that the look that dog gives, like, he believes with every fiber of his being that he is really protecting that human. So everything had to be done on set. So they had to get in helicopters, jeeps, they had to do all of that practical effects. Fair play. But yeah, it's a little bit...
They did a proper Tom Cruise on it, didn't they?
Yes, yeah.
So, they proper went all out. Yeah, I know it was. I remember that the first time I watched it, being like, okay, I thought it was a movie about a girl and a dog. I expected like Lilo and Stitch, and it kind of was in a way. But it was then something else, and it was something else. It was like, okay, cool.
Yeah. So the behind the scenes for this thing's really interesting, because it's been a while, I think, since we've had a movie that's had real drama. We talked a little bit about Meet the Robinsons, how I think it was like 60% of that movie was reworked and changed. But I don't think there was like a whole hullabaloo about it. This one went through a massive overhaul and probably left a bit of bad blood between certain parties. So back in 2002, I think isn't that when Lilo and Stitch came out? 2001, 2002 kind of time. So in the November of 2002, you had Chris Sanders and Dean DeBois. I can never say that name. The directors of Lilo and Stitch, and they'd signed apparently a multi-picture deal with Disney. And they were working on a film that was tentatively titled American Dog. And this was in the November of 2003 now. And a lot of the elements from this is what got reworked into the film that we have today with Bolt. So apparently it was going to center around a dog called Henry, who is a famous canine. And he finds himself stranded in the Nevada desert with apparently a testy one-eyed cat and an oversized radioactive rabbit, who are all trying to find new homes, and it's an unlikely bunch of characters.
Would you take in a radioactive rabbit? So I don't know how...
I mean, is it going to give me cancer or something? Like, how radioactive is this rabbit?
Which is what I mean. It could explode. So, I don't know how believable that movie is.
That reminds me of Stitch a little bit. That character, like radioactive rabbit.
That might be why.
A little bit.
Also, I think a one-eyed cat, that's... I don't know. I'd take in a one-eyed cat.
Yeah, that'd be a nice thing to do. Yeah. As long as it's not rabbit or anything.
Well, it depends. Was it designed like a big gap in the eye with like crusted blood over it, or was it like just one eye?
Well, judging from an idea that they have, which I'll go into in a minute, which sounds insane, maybe it did. Maybe it would have done.
Well, have you ever seen those people that have had their faces torn off by bears?
Yes.
And you see, like, they have that, they take it off, and you see what's under it. Is it like that? Like, I don't know.
Maybe all of this is like ideas for your story, isn't it? I'm sure you're going to have all of this go down in your book. Yeah, and this famous canine star all the time believed that he was on TV. He was part of a television series, so pretty much the conceit, the concept was right there from Chris Sanders, I guess. I don't know if he penned the story himself, because I know that he had a lot of input with Lilo and Stitch. He basically created the character of Stitch back in the day and the film and everything. So yeah, American Dog in 2005 was slated to come out in 2008. And then the acquisition of Pixar happened, and John Lasseter and Ed Catmull, who so you got the creative chief officer and president of Disney Animation Studios at the time, they watched a screening of the film, two screenings of the film apparently, and as CEOs and everything usually do, they have notes. They have studio notes, which they brought to Chris Sanders' attention and said, we'd like to make a few changes. And apparently this is a quote, and this is where the insanity comes in. So Ed Catmull apparently was stated as, quote, somewhere along the way, the plot had also come to include a radioactive cookie-selling Girl Scout zombie serial killer. I'm all for quirky ideas, but
you have to double back on that. I didn't really get that. What?
Yeah, so apparently they watched this test screening of the film. They watched two test screenings of the film that Sanders gave them. And Ed Catmull, who was the president of Walt Disney Animation Studios and Pixar, I think, has said, quote, somewhere along the way, the plot had also come to include a radioactive cookie-selling Girl Scout zombie serial killer. I'm all for quirky ideas, but this one had metastasized. Well, and I kind of agree. That sounds mental.
Two things on that. One, I don't know what metastasize means. That's a cool word.
Well, like a cancer, I guess. Like
I don't know, but I like that word. It's really cool. And secondly, well, you know, America. This is America, and they have an app, so you can track the Girl Scouts and where they are. You know, if they're a good. Did you not know about this?
That sounds weird. Why?
Yeah, I was in LA and I saw loads of these Girl Scouts, and I thought, oh, that's really cool, because obviously we don't get them over here. So I thought, that's really cool. They were selling cookies. I was like, oh, why some Girl Scout cookies? And then there was this woman with them, obviously because they're little kids. So there's this like older woman with them, and she was talking to me, and she was like, oh, you're from England, that sort of stuff. And then I was like, yeah, you know, I was like, oh, we don't get Girl Scouts in England. This is pretty cool. And she was like, oh, there's an app you can download. You can track where all the girls are. And I was like, that's not good. I was like, why does that exist? So the point is, America's weird. So it's not that weird when you think about it.
What, a Girl Scout?
No. The app is weird. What I'm saying, the zombie serial killer thing is not that weird when you think about it.
I mean, we've got to rate. What's with the whole like radioactive thing? I guess it's like,
do you know what?
Like aliens or something? Because you have like the whole alien thing in the movie, don't you, where the pigeons suggest they pitch a movie idea, what they want to see in the TV show, and it includes aliens. I thought that was pretty funny.
Do you know, it's weird because I think there was a point in this movie where they just went, fuck it, let's just go with it. They just keep going the next level. It was very in that when they did that, it reminded me of Saints Row in the sense of just like, we're just going to keep getting ridiculous. Mm-hmm. You know, it was that to the extent, because it was at the end of the movie, wasn't it? Where they do that, they included like the aliens or whatever.
Yeah.
And that's where I was like very Saints Row in the sense of like, fuck it, we got rid of that, let's just go to the next level. And it's like, okay, cool. But it was employed by Goodfeathers, wasn't it?
Yeah, so you got the pigeon characters in the film, and me and you are both massive fans of the 90s cartoon Animaniacs. Still to this day, that and Batman the Animated Series are probably the pinnacle of Western animation, I think, when it comes to kids' TV shows, especially the quality of the writing as well, especially very adult, like you can watch it of all ages. But you had the New York Goodfellas pastiche of Goodfeathers, the pigeon characters, and there's three of them, and they've all got like the New York accents. You know, I can't do New York accents. But, that was pitiful me trying to attempt that, but it really reminded me, 100%. And I was going to bring it up, so I'm glad you mentioned that. I like the way they were animated as well. How they had like the little
Yeah,
head twitches as well. I thought that was a quite a
they
neat little
were
nod.
animated well. I think a lot in this movie is animated very well. To be fair, like
Yes.
the movements, the
Yeah.
grass, the way everything kind of flows together.
Mm. Yeah, no, totally. There was a comment earlier which I wanted to bring up because I kind of agree with this. It's about Disney classics excelling with when they have animals as the lead. I'm trying to just scan down the comments,
Oh,
see
I
if I
read
can
that
find
somewhere
it.
before as well.
Oh, here we go. Bolt was great. I feel like Disney really shine when they have animal-based movies. They do it so well.
Well, this is the thing. I read that somewhere as well, and I think the reason that happens, and I think many movies, is because, well, what's the reason you watch a movie? Realistically, you want to
Want to be
escape.
entertained? You want to feel a
Yeah, you
certain
want to.
way?
Yeah, I mean, you want to be entertained. You also want to escape life. So you got to think about it in the sense of what entertains you. A lot of people, people get a dog. Dogs are very entertains them. They're happy. They like looking at a dog. It's like I think it was statistically proven something like if a dog dies, more people are saddened by it. Where if a human dies, people don't give a shit. It's very it is statistically proven, but it also people watch movies and stuff to escape from reality and do something different. So that's why like fantasy and things aren't necessarily always real or really popular because of that. So yeah, I think I did read it somewhere about, I think it was especially Disney, but yeah, what was the first Disney movie, well, Disney classic to be animal based? That would have been Dumbo, actually, wouldn't it?
Oh, I guess Dumbo. Yeah, if you're talking about one that's exclusively animal characters, it'd probably be Bambi, wouldn't it?
Yeah, but Dumbo, I think, because it was the first about
Well, yeah,
the main
yeah,
character.
yeah,
So they have been going for quite some time, and yeah, I think animals always do better because of that, and I think there's more emotion attached to them. You'd rather see a human die than a dog die.
hmm
Humans, there's millions of them, and they're all dickheads, so we're fine. But a dog, not okay.
Well, I must admit, like I am a dog lover. Like, we look after my cousin's dog, and like he's amazing. We looked after him a couple of weeks ago, and like he actually has a toy which is a carrot that he plays with when he comes over. So when you have Bolt at the beginning as a little puppy, and he's playing with like the little squeaky carrot toy, I was get not like manly tears or anything, but it's that tugging on the heartstrings, which again Disney do so well in the animation and everything. Disney can do cute well. They can do cute animals. It's the eyes. It's it's the bit where Mittens trains him to beg for food, and you have that whole montage where he's
You know,
drops the ears, tilts the head.
Do you know what? Speaking of the eyes, maybe this is also one reason that they've gone to the 3D stuff that they have, because you got to think like anime eyes. They're the big, adoring eyes, and it has that's what they're called, and it draws you in. Whereas
Mm.
now that Disney have done that, they've kind of they've got that in the animation. Like you've got to think like Frozen, Tangled as well. Like their eyes, they're the big eyes that everyone, it locks you onto it. So
Mhm.
I think that's one reason they probably have stuck with this animation. I think that's what I would say.
Yeah. I'll talk about the animation in just a minute, but things didn't sort of like end well with the whole Sanders situation about this film. So we left it where Sanders presented them with the screening of the film, and they had notes on it. So it's 2006 now, the December of 2006, and Sanders is removed. He's booted from the project, and within months, he joined DreamWorks Animation. I feel like that happens a lot. I think one of the old CEOs from Disney moved to DreamWorks. I know one of the composers who did the music for is it Steven Schwartz, I want to say his name was. He did the music for Prince of Egypt. He was meant to be doing the music for Pocahontas, wasn't he? And he got booted, or Mulan or something, and they didn't use his songs. He went to DreamWorks. It seems like everyone who gets disgruntled goes to DreamWorks. But apparently it was because Sanders, he was replaced because he resisted the changes. He didn't want to do any of the changes that the directors suggested. The CEO suggested, sorry. And Lasseter was quoted as saying, quote, Chris Sanders is extremely talented, but he couldn't take it to the place it had to be, end quote. Around about in December of 2006 as well, Disney laid off 160 employees within its animation division. I don't know if that's the hand-drawn stuff, if they're kind of Pixar are bringing their own people in. Maybe it's one of those situations. We can't have everyone here, so out with the old and in with the new. I don't know, but it is a shame. I do remember when they made the switch to 3D, though, hearing about a lot of the traditional hand-drawn animation artists were just kind of like kicked to the curb, which really, really upset me at the time. I think it's. I'd love to check this actually, and I know they do still do concept art with traditional animation, which then gets moved into the 3D stuff. But I want to say the last bit of traditional animation that they ever did in terms of a test was Wreck-It Ralph. And I think you can see that. I think there's like a few little seconds of like classic hand-drawn style for Ralph, and it looks incredible. And it just makes me sad that that's the last probably official traditional animation they ever did.
Yeah, there's bits in Bolt as well, isn't there?
Of what, traditional animation?
I don't know if it's traditional, but you know when they're traveling and they've got that little travel board thing and it's got that 2D where the lines are going over. Do you remember that?
Oh, okay, yeah.
But I'm trying to remember, it's not really traditional 2D,
The
is
end
it?
credits have something that looks more akin to
Yeah.
hand-drawn. It's kind of like a simplified design. But in recent years, Sanders has said that he has no ill will over being removed from the film. And he's quoted as saying, I think it would have been frustrating if the movie were essentially the same, but with only slight changes. And I suppose my scenes and storylines are still sitting there on the shelf. I could actually pull them out and do them again, but it would be completely different. End quote. So, yeah, there we go. So they bring the new directors on board, Chris Williams and Byron Howard. And they also changed the design of Bolt into a white shepherd, and also the setting, because it was going to be an American Southwest setting, but because around that time in 2006, Cars had just come out, which had a similar terrain with the desert and the canyons and whatnot. They decided to do a complete overhaul of the story and the animation team, and apparently they were given just 18 months instead of the usual 4 years to get all the animation finished, which is insane. If that is true, that's mental, and that makes me appreciate the animation in this film all the more because it looks incredible. Definitely an upgrade from the last few that we've had.
A big upgrade.
Yeah.
A big upgrade. It is very, if you put them side by side, it's a very big upgrade. I am surprised about that 18-month thing.
Yeah. In terms of the animation as well, where you mentioned like the hand-drawn look, I don't know if this contributes a little bit, but they used a new technique which apparently is later used in Entangled a couple of films time, which gave 3D backgrounds a hand-painted look, which was designed specifically for this film. I don't know if I really paid attention to that all that much. I don't know if I really noticed that things looked more hand-painted in the background. Everything just sort of looked uniform, computer animated style to me, I guess. Or maybe I just wasn't paying attention to it.
Do you know the one thing I noticed though? I watched the part of the Tangled series the other day, and the animation doesn't look great. I don't know whether it just looks cheap in comparison, but I do think the artistic style on it is not, to standard, because it's kind of like, oh, we've got 3D, it doesn't need to be polished. It's like they've kind of forgotten about, how to make 2D animation look polished and stellar. It just looked kind of weak.
Mm.
So I don't know, but
I think that's like new technologies creeping in, because I hate to bring this up on this review, but Joker 2, Joker Folie à Deux, opens with an
What's that?
It's
I
probably
didn't
the
realize
worst.
they did a sequel.
It's probably the worst film of the year, is what it is. But it does open with an animated segment, which is trying to be in the same vein as like the old Warner Brothers cartoons.
To be
But
fair,
it looks too modern. Like it's not the same technologies that were made during that time.
Like that. I did like that part though. I thought it was animated quite well.
It's animated well, but I think you look at it and you'll go, well, this doesn't look like a Looney Tunes cartoon. Like, I don't know if it was the frame rate. I don't know if it's like the grain on the film, like whatever it is, the same techniques, whether it was done digitally rather than hand drawn, something looks slightly off about it. And I think you kind of get that now in like rare occasions where you might see glimpses of 2D animation. It just doesn't, it just doesn't look the same, from what it used to. But I mean, Disney don't even really do that anymore anyway, do they? It's all computer based now anyway.
Disney don't do fuck all anymore. Disney used to be a company that meant something. Now they mean fuck all.
Yeah, I know. I'm still waiting for the day where there's the shift, and it's coming. That day will come.
I'm waiting for Strange World for me to really shit on that and go, this is pointless.
It's going to be a distinct low point, isn't it, of the retrospective towards the very end as well. We're going to end with such a whimper with it as well. Got a couple of comments. We have Damon Coffee who says, "This is a great idea."
Which one?
Yeah, which idea was great? Please let us know. And Denny says, "My favorite part about Aristocats is the backgrounds." Yeah, that was during the kind of like the sketchy kind of part of Disney, wasn't
That's
it?
like
With, the Xerox.
Yeah, I'm thinking like Lady and the Tramp as well. That sort of. But I love that movie, as we know.
Well, it was 101 Dalmatians, wasn't it? Which I remember actually I was going to say in this retrospective, but I was really harsh on that animation style because right before it, you have the stellar animation in Sleeping Beauty, and you've got that kind of medieval artwork design, and you've got the widescreen format, and the backgrounds look absolutely outstanding in that movie. Honestly, Sleeping Beauty is probably one of my, in terms of animation, out of all the Disney classics we've done so far, that's probably in my top 5, just from like a stylistic standpoint. And then right after that, you have the kind of unrefined and rough around the edges, sketchy kind of design with 101 Dalmatians. And I was really watching them in sequence. That hit me like a ton of bricks. But then a few films into it with like Robin Hood and Aristocats, I was completely fine with it. So, and Winnie the Pooh and stuff like that. So, yeah, it's weird watching them in sequence. I've never done it before. Never done it before. This is all new.
It's weird seeing the dips, and there's always dips, and we're in a dip. Although this one's good. We're still in that,
Yeah. I'm going to bring up a comment from earlier. Well, actually, I didn't bring up... I'm really sorry, Brian. I didn't bring up your comment. Brian at the beginning said this movie is good. I wish it was a world in Kingdom Hearts 4. I don't think it could work. I think Bolt could be used as a summon. I think you could summon him and he could do like the super bark or something. He could do like the laser eyes. He could run around super fast and knock out Heartless. I think he'd work as a summon, but I don't think... Because it's a getting back home kind of movie. It's almost like Homeward Bound, isn't it? That wouldn't work. There's no sort of hub where you could have it as a world. I don't think you'd have the studios maybe, but I don't think that would make for an interesting world.
And also, you'd there was another thing I was going to say about it.
And it's set in the real world as well. That's another thing too. Like it's
what's that? What's that movie studio called? The one that does the movies.
Hollywood Studios.
Yeah, but it's got the archways. I don't know. Is it Paramount? Paramount. That's it. It's got the thingies. Isn't it called Sovereign Entertainment or something?
Yeah, something. Yeah.
So, I mean, but the thing is as well, because it's very like it's animals and stuff, and I think because we've done that before. But I think the summon wise would work well. There was another point I had on this. I'm trying to remember it, but I can't remember what it was. But it will come back to me, and
it'll come back to you. It'll come back to you. I just wanted to bring up this comment because I was I was thinking of this towards the beginning. I think they did one too many twists at the beginning.
That was it. Hang on, whilst I've got it. Yeah, remember the Tron looking villains in this right at the beginning.
What, like the henchmen sort of
thing?
Like
on the motorbikes thing.
Yeah.
Tron, I don't know. I think that's too similar to Tron. I think the fact that we've had the speed bike kind of stuff. I
never even thought of that, but yeah.
I think the fact that we've had that speed bike kind of stuff, I think it kind of says it all. But I think as a summon would be, would work well.
I'd say Tron Legacy came out. That was 2010, wasn't it? I think. Yeah, 2010.
So and we had that in Dream Drop Distance as well.
Yeah. But the comment was, and I kind of agree with this a little bit too. I would have loved it if it went in the direction of him actually having superpowers. They should have done little short films of the movies Bolt starred in. Yeah, when you had that massive tonal shift at the beginning, I was like, okay, I'm on board. Okay, we've got a superhero Pooch who's looking after, we've got a rescue mission. Her dad's been kidnapped. Let's go. And I was kind of, it took me out of it a little bit, but then I was kind of weirdly on board with it. I was like, okay, I know nothing about this movie. Let's see what you've got. He's basically Kal-El. He's basically, what is it? There's Bat Hound. What is it? Bat Dog. Super. What's the dog called? Crypto, the Wonder
Crypto.
Dog. There you go. He's basically him. He can fly. He can super jump. He's got lightning bolts for eyes. And, he's got everything. And then you have that extra twist. One question I was going to ask you: the very beginning of the film, where Bolt is adopted, was that actually in real life, or was that part of the TV show as well? Because I want to know, because they mentioned that Bolt has never, because he was 7 months old when he was adopted. They mentioned in the film that he's never had a real life as a dog. All he's ever known is in this TV show. It's basically the Truman Show. It's very similar to the Truman Show. With that,
I thought the intro was kind of like a she chose the dog. This is the dog, and then that was the dog they used for the TV show. That's what I thought it would have been. It wasn't part of the TV show. But now you said it's part of the TV show, that probably would have made sense because it would have been like an origin story. But I saw it as a kind of, she chose a dog, it's like that, and then it was like, cool. So this is a dog we're gonna utilize with you, because she had to have a connection with it. So it was like, okay, we're gonna put you in a TV show with a dog, and then she went to the camera. She, I want this dog, and they bonded, all that sort of stuff. I was like, all right, cool, this is what we're gonna use. That's what I saw it as.
Yeah, because I wasn't sure, because it starts off and the whole color palette and there's like a soft lighting and everything, and it all feels very warm and fuzzy, those Disney kind of feelings. And then you get to like the desaturated widescreen look when it cuts to the TV show segment. But I was just wondering, because they said that all he's ever known is this TV show, I wondered if they just like got that puppy, and that was still everything that we saw in the film was part of that TV show as well. Well, because I feel like she does age quite a bit, doesn't she? It's 5 years later. You do see an age difference. I was going to say the dog ages, but she doesn't. But now I remember back, she is.
Yeah, she has a different voice actor as well, doesn't she?
Yeah. Is it Chloe Grace Moretz?
Yeah, it is. It's her. Yeah, I thought I recognised her, but that was before she did anything, wasn't it? That was like
yes, it would have been. It would have been. Yeah,
that was probably when she was like what?
Kick-Ass came out 2010. That's sort of like one of the main.
Kick-Ass. That's a shit movie.
Oh, I love that film. I love the first one. Wasn't too keen on the second one.
Never seen the second one because the first one was shit.
But yeah, this is one of those films, like many Disney films, sort of around this point, where you kind of have a villain in it, but not really. The last film you had like the bowler hat man, but he was a villain, but he wasn't really.
Yeah, I'm getting bored of no villains. I want a villain back. When was the last Disney villain we had?
Chicken Little, you had the aliens, but then they're kind of not a villain. The Wild had that. I know it's not a Disney classic, but we still have to mention it. You have the Wildebeest, which I thought was quite an interesting concept for a villain, at least. Maybe not him himself, but. And then, last week, what do we have? Oh, the Bowler Hat Man, as I said. So, it's been a while. I'm waiting for that great Disney villain, and we're going to get him next week in the form of Dr. Facilier.
He is good. And I want him in Kingdom Hearts. That's what I want.
Yes, we need. Now, that is a world that should be in Kingdom Hearts 4, Princess and the Frog.
Even if it's not a world, I want him traveling to different worlds. Him doing a Maleficent. I want like a proper... I think he would work.
But could you imagine like his arena is like his lair, where you've got those... Are you ready? Boom, 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 boom. Those heads that light up, the voodoo stuff, the visuals you could have.
Yeah, exactly. And the things he could do as a boss battle, I think that he'd be wicked.
Yeah.
I think he would be great to see in it. But I don't think that'll happen. It's not, I don't know. Has the legacy of Princess and the Frog like shone as much as it should?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Then he says Zootropolis had villains. Here's the thing. So we're in the mode of not really villains at the moment. And it's like there's kind of an established villain, but by the end of the film there's a twist where they're actually a good guy or they're just misunderstood. That's the phase we're in at the moment. We're eventually, especially with Zootropolis, you're going to have one that's the kind of meek character who then in the very final moments of the film is revealed to be a villain. That's the trope we're in at the moment with Disney villains, and that gets old quick. And then he says, I miss camp Disney villains like Jafar, Hades, and Scar. They're the Disney villains I want back. The fucking memorable ones. The ones that are just bad because they're evil. And you know what? That's fine. They often get like a really cool villain song in the film. They're dead memorable. That's probably why, like, for me, in terms of like the next few Disney films, Dr. Facilier, fucking great. Love the look of the character. Love the personality of the character. Great Disney villain song. The film after that, you have Tangled with Mother Gothel, who's great, like so much personality, wonderful voice acting coming through in that villain song there as well. I need villains like that again, man.
And then
Just
you have
classic
Frozen that doesn't
formula.
have one.
I just need I just need the classic fucking formula. It's not difficult. Have a string of songs throughout. Have the I Want song. Have the villain song. Gorgeous animation. Whether you want to do it traditional or computer, whatever. And I think going back to your thing, tying it full circle to the beginning, where you said it doesn't feel like a Disney classic. That to me is what makes a Disney film.
I think for the next Disney movie as a Disney villain, we need something like Django Unchained. But
what?
No. Hear me out. But the opposite. We need them to go, let's make it different. So it's a load of white slaves. And it's basically
what are we doing?
It's great. And there's this guy, and he wants to make all the white people slaves. And there's a song about it. And that's what I want.
What are we doing? No.
Yes.
We've gone too far in a few places.
I think that'd be great.
Wow. Okay. Segueing it back to Bolt real quick. That was a tangent. I don't know where we went there, but that happened. Oh God, now I'm seeing that Bolt is a white Swiss Shepherd. I'm thinking, oh no.
He's going to be taken over by the villain.
No. Okay. Favorite moments in this film? Any particular character beats or favorite character even?
Do you know
wherever
what?
you want to take
in terms of favorite moments, it's a really hard one because there's a lot of great scenes. I do like the intro scene, but I think my favorite stands out for me is at the beginning where they're going from the henchman, the Tron-like thing, because it's just it's great teamwork between the two of them. It shows the chemistry. It looks cool. It's action based. Yeah, I really like that. I think I'd probably say that's my favorite. Just it stands out the most. In terms of favorite character though, that's really hard.
I really like Mittens. Mittens is probably my favorite, I think.
I fucking hate cats. So, not really. No, I don't know. It's hard because each character is actually, good enough. It's weird. It's not because they're all shit. It's because they've all got a decent level to them where, yes, Bolt's the main character, but they all feel like, you know what, this character carries this. And yeah, main character's a hard one, but that's definitely my favorite moment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's difficult for favorite moment for me. I'm trying to think of the worst moment. Go on, sorry.
What about with the fire? Only because where's the fire? With the smoke clouds and stuff. I thought that looked really cool in the ventilation, like with the smoke clouds. I can tell you who my least favorite character is. It's her mum.
Oh, the mum, yeah.
Fucking hate her, fat bitch.
Continue on. Wet and cold.
Yeah.
I do like how they made Bolt became the hero, the real life hero. I like how they bring in the super bark thing where he barks down the ventilation shaft and they hear it from outside. I thought that was quite ingenious how they did that. I like that callback there.
It made him feel like a proper superhero, didn't it?
Yeah. I think that the plot of this it's very tried and tested. I think you have another road movie with like a pair of, well, I was going to say it's a duo, but then it's a trio when you introduce Rhino, of unlikely heroes, trekking across, making a perilous journey to get back to their home, the promised land, or their owner, or whatever you want to call it. It's a very tried and tested Disney formula, kind of like Finding Nemo. Nemo does get referenced in this as well, which I thought was funny. I think one of the pigeons who are pitching the idea of the aliens at the end says like, "Now you don't want to blow this like you blew Nemo." I thought that
I'm telling you, it's a Pixar movie. I'm telling you, it's not a Disney movie.
Yes, so we're getting Pixar. Well, there's another like Disney/Pixar reference in the movie. But favorite scene for me, I do really like the intro scene. I thought it was a nice. It's like what Disney do best, the animation, just making you feel those feelings at the very beginning. It's a film that I think its heart is absolutely in the right place for this thing, and it is quite an intriguing concept. It's a fairly out there idea from the concept, but then once it gets into the actual minutiae of the film, it is the typical story beats that you see in a lot of Disney/Pixar films as well. favorite moments, favorite lines is kind of like a lot of visual jokes. The bit where both of them are Rhino related, and there are some moments where I found Rhino a little bit grating, and the shtick of the character did get on my nerves a little bit. But there's a bit where he's in the hamster ball and he just wheels away and says, like, I'm going to go and get a ladder. I'm like, what the fuck, how? And then you see him later on and he's shuffling this ladder across the road. I thought that was brilliant. And then I think they sneak into the studios towards the end and he sees a guard and he says, like, I'm going to go and snap his neck. I was like, whoa, like... So there's a couple of little jokes like that. It did make me laugh, and I was invested. It definitely held my attention a lot more than the last few that we did. I think Meet the Robinsons might have to be another Disney movie that I go back to at some point and give a second watch, because I do appreciate a lot of that about the plot. I really do.
I don't know if I'd go back to Meet the... Not that I wouldn't. Like, if it was on, cool. Like, I'm not... It's enjoyable enough, but Bolt's actually a good movie, I think.
Yeah. It's a shame because, like, I think you could, like, Dr. Calico. He's just a villain in the TV show. I'm thinking, like, would this film have been better with a villain, like an actual villain? I don't know. I don't think every Disney film calls. Yeah, I was going to say it doesn't call for one all the time.
It could have, but then again, it wouldn't be even it wouldn't call for a big villain across the whole movie. But the way it could have one is have someone trying to take the dog back and just be like, no, this is our dog, this is our property, and. But it's not really a real villain, though, is it?
No, not at all. I'm just having a look as well at the music. So you have John Powell doing the score for this thing. He's done a lot of DreamWorks. Oh God, here you go. Here's another DreamWorks composer. How to Train Your Dragon. He worked on the Kung Fu Panda films with Hans Zimmer. I believe he did the music to Chicken Run as well, if I remember rightly. So he's done a lot of animation.
Movie that didn't need a sequel.
Yes, God, yeah. I just totally forgot that they did a sequel to Chicken Run until you mentioned it. That was last Christmas.
I never watched that.
That came out. A nice little Christmas present.
Yeah, never watched that, but the fact that it exists,
it's bad.
Terrible.
It's very, very bad. So John Powell did the score for this film. I'm a big fan of his work. I do love his scores, and he just absolutely excels at animated films. Really captures that sense of whimsy. The music to this was nice. It's not massively memorable to me. I think he's done more memorable scores than this one.
Really not memorable.
It serves the film. It serves the film. I thought it was fine. And then you have a couple of main songs in there throughout, like the more kitschy sort of like pop songs. The main one of which is I Thought I Lost You, which has Miley Cyrus and John Travolta, the two stars, singing together on that track. So, yeah.
It's not memorable. The music to me was very cool. Like you say, it serves its purpose, but it was nothing more than that. I wouldn't be able to say I have a favorite song. It's all very just lackluster to me.
Yeah. Deddy says, A Mitten Story again. I'd love that. Hang on. A Mitten Story. I'd love that. I want to see what she was doing before. I don't know if we need a whole story on that, like a spin-off. I think you get everything you need to in dialogue. I think you could sort of make your own interpretations of what happened there, that she just had an owner that got bored of her, that dumped her. Like, I don't think you need a whole film on that, really. But I liked her character. I thought she was the good offset, sort of like the odd couple between Bolt and Mittens there. Rhino for the comic relief, I suppose. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I can mention about this movie. I don't feel like I've talked about the actual film massively in depth, but I did enjoy it.
Do you know what? It's so weird because the storyline is, as much as it's a good movie, the storyline is a bit, you know what I mean? It's nothing, it is just basic, really.
I did feel it was a tad too long when I was watching it. There was a few moments where I thought, oh, okay, it's wrapping up now for the ending, and then it'd go on a little bit longer. It's 96 minutes, so it's not excessive. 90 minutes is usually, we've had some 70-minute ones, I suppose, haven't we? But this was pushing it where I was getting a little bit...
some 40-minute ones.
Yes, yeah.
I think one, was it two of them? One of them, two of them, I don't know.
Saludos Amigos was about 42 minutes, I think, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anything else I can mention about this film. I did very much enjoy this one. I think this is definitely a step up from the last few. This is getting more towards that classic Disney formula. So I would kind of disagree when you said it doesn't feel like a Disney film. I think this one feels more like a Disney film.
This is the thing. Yes, it might feel more like a Disney movie, but I don't know. It's that question of what do people see as a Disney classic? You know,
Yeah.
because I think
Yeah.
everyone will probably have different opinions on that, and that's like Black Cauldron. A lot of people might not see that as a Disney classic. You know, it just depends. I mean, yes, it is more like a Disney movie than the others, but what is a Disney movie? What makes
Yes.
a Disney movie? You know, because the first ever, Disney classic, Snow White, was, it was a cover, wasn't it? Technically,
Mm.
like, the first Van Halen single was a cover. It
There it
really got
is.
me. That was the first single. But it was, so it's not like a Disney movie needs to be this original idea, um, and it's not like it can't be an original idea. So yeah, it just depends what you see as a Disney movie. I think for me, it might be the animation, and I think I'll start to notice that when we get to Tangled and Frozen and that sort of stuff, because to me they are Disney movies. But doing this retrospective, I might get there and think, don't feel like Disney movies anymore, possibly. And if that's the case, then I'll know it's literally the animation. Um, but I think, as much as it could be the animation, I think the main thing for me, it's the whole superhero-y kind of, and to me, a Pixar world is a world you could live in the sense of it feels very lived in. Like, you feel Toy Story, there's houses, it feels like a neighborhood you could live in. Even when it gets to, I mean, Bugs Life, obviously, we're not ants and shit, but it just feels like this big world. A Disney movie feels like it's a set piece. I've
Mm.
always that's the way I kind of see it. Because when you look at, like Incredibles, you see the whole world, you got this, you got whatever. When you see Snow White, it's a set piece. It's that piece. I don't know. That's the way I see it. And with Bolt, it felt like a big world. Don't
Yeah.
know. That's just, to me, that's what a Disney movie should feel like, a set piece. And at the moment, we're not really getting that.
I think at a glance as well, the poster for this thing, it does kind of look like Incredibles. It's the bright red color, the white sort of slanted font on there. You've got the lightning
The Harry
bolts and
Potter
everything.
star and
And yeah, it kind of looks, at a quick glance, it does look like an Incredibles poster, like ba 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 da, like, this big thing, but
was that the McDonald's theme tune?
ba da ba, yeah. Were you loving this film? Final thoughts on Bolt then? Were you
No,
loving
I
it?
did. I did really enjoy this film. It's one I would go back to. It's one I have gone back to because I watched it, when I was a kid. But it's one I would go back to. It's one I'd show people and say this is actually a good movie. I did enjoy it. I'd probably give it like, a solid 7 or 8. Like, I do enjoy it, and I think it is one of those where you stand up and you go, this is a good movie.
Is it that maybe the Disney Classic thing, just to kind of like bring this thing to a close, a film that maybe doesn't have as much staying power? Like, I really enjoyed this, but does it feel very sort of the moment? Like, yeah, I watched Bolt, that was good. Moving on, what have we got next? It's not really a story that, I gotta say, like Taylor's old as time. That's timeless. Like a
So,
lot of those older Disney classics are, maybe.
so it's similar to Sausage Pie. It's a one-time watch.
Yes, because I feel like Snow White, in terms of like the sound, maybe kids nowadays probably wouldn't gravitate towards it as much as some of the more like vibrant ones and everything like that. But just structurally, I think like the songs, I think the princess setting can help. I think the princess storyline can help cement it as a Disney classic to me. But obviously, as we've mentioned, there's plenty of Disney classics that don't have the whole princess theme to it, and they're just fine. I think the ones that shine and the ones that are memorable are the ones where you've got to have like colorful, memorable characters. I think you've got to have a great villain, good sort of ensemble cast, and then I think the song structure, which Disney used to have, and then they kind of didn't do that for a long time. And then the Disney Renaissance really helped cement that when they made that decision. I think it was Howard Ashman, wasn't it? And the geniosity of Alan Menken wanting to bring Disney back to almost like a Broadway musical style and having that structure. And they ran with that structure all the way through the 90s for the Disney Renaissance, with the exception of Rescuers Down Under, which everyone forgets. And maybe that is the reason that people forget it. They shouldn't do, because I think it's a great movie, but it didn't really fit the mold. And I think that structure is what helps cement sort of the more modern era of Disney and what we come to expect from a Disney film. Then they kind of dropped off doing that when you get towards Fantasia 2000, Emperor's New Groove, and everything like that. And I love those films, Lilo and Stitch, Treasure Planet. We have reviews on all of those. I love those, but even Disney were looking at the numbers and saying that there was a dip in not in quality necessarily, but there was a dip in the finances, in the money, in the box office returns.
When's the next Princess musical?
Good segue. Next
No,
week,
no,
my
not for
friends.
us. I mean, new one wise. When do you think that'll be?
Well, I mean, Moana. Do you count her as a princess?
Well, this is the thing. Actually, I didn't think of that because I haven't seen that
Frozen
movie.
3,
So
I guess. Frozen
What?
3, probably the next one then.
Yeah, but we're not counting sequels. We're not counting sequels. They don't count.
Well,
None
they
of
haven't
this
announced anymore.
bollocks of the whole like, oh, we're just gonna do the same thing again. None of that fucking shit. Like, fucking stop it. Places
Literally,
need to
the
stop
only
fucking sequels.
the only Disney classics that have been announced currently: Moana 2, which is out next month; Zootopia 2, which is out next year; Frozen 3, which is out. Oh God, is that 2027? I think. And then they've announced a Frozen 4. So
Yep.
they're the only Disney classics that have been announced. All of them are sequels. Not the one of them are
People need to
original
stop
ideas.
making fucking sequels. Sequels piss me off. Like, there's no point in making a sequel. You made a good movie. Leave it alone. It's
Absolute
done. Move on with your
desperation.
ideas. Like, I get it with the numbers. I really do. And I understand from a business perspective, makes a load of sense. But you know what? Another thing makes sense from a business perspective. Stop making woke movies to lose money so they have to make sequels to fucking make up the money that you lost.
Yeah.
That is another better idea for a
Yes.
fucking business. But, you know,
Preach. I
they ain't
agree.
doing it.
I agree. But next week we have a very underrated gem, in my opinion, which hopefully is finding a little bit of popularity now. Number 49, Princess and the Frog.
No, this is the other thing that I don't get because she's a black princess, right? No one seems to harken back to her when they talk about Disney's not diverse or anything like that. And
No,
it's
I
like,
know.
but they had a black princess and it was a good movie.
Interesting, that, isn't it?
No one goes back to that.
We
They
had
all
Princess Jasmine, who was Middle Eastern.
Exactly. No one thinks back to this stuff, but
Pocahontas, who, I guess she was a princess, wasn't she? In a way, sort of, maybe.
she was the Disney princess how you would expect, like kind of like Moana, I guess. But
yeah,
you know that kind of what you'd expect. But one thing I liked about Princess Frog as well is the music. The music, that kind of jazzy rockabilly kind of, well, you know what I mean, that New Orleansy kind of thing going on. And I like that as well. It's very unique.
It is. It's very unique, and this one's going to be an emotional one for me. In that I know in the greater scheme of Disney, you have the US list. So technically, the last traditional Disney animated film is Winnie the Pooh from 2011, which is on the US list, which we will be covering towards the end of this retrospective. But for us, this movie kind of marks the end of what I would call traditional Disney. Tangled is kind of in there as well. I think that could have worked as hand-drawn, but I do appreciate it for its computer animation. It feels akin to these kind of films, but this film could be placed in the pantheon of the Disney Renaissance from the 90s, as far as I'm concerned. And when I do watch those films, I will kind of throw this one in as well. It does feel like it's very much part of that. And that's because you have some of the directors from some of the best Disney Renaissance films in there who did this one. The animation, the music, the structure, and everything. This is one of my favorites, and I cannot wait to watch this one again. I'm even looking at the back. I'm looking at some of the like the little screenshots, and just the traditional animation in this film is second to none. Like the colors and everything. Oh, can't wait. So that's next week, Princess and the Frog. We'll be back next week at 8 p.m. We'll try and be on time next week. We promise. We try. We always try every week, but almost at 50, and then we've got like 10 left, and we're done.
Moana 2 will be out, won't it? So that'll be the last one we're doing.
Moana 2 will be out. It'll probably be out on physical media by that point as well. Yeah, I don't know if it will be out in these shiny slipcovers because I'm still waiting on Wish to get a nice shiny slipcover before I buy it.
I don't want to review Wish. I don't want to review Strange World.
I know, neither do I, but we've got
I want to leave it at Frozen and just be like on a high.
That's number 60, isn't it, Strange World? So, we'll be doing like the 10 countdown. Once we get to Tangled, we'll be like, oh, we've got 10 left and we hit Strange World.
Wait, what's the last one at the moment? Wish?
Wish, yeah.
And that's number 64?
Oh, God, now you asked me something. Disney Classics. I should know these. UK lists. I'm hoping this is our list here. Let me scroll down. If I see the wild on there, then I'll know it's our list. No, that's the American one because it's got Disney's dinosaur. That one's not numbered. Okay, so what number is... No, again, that's the American one. I don't know. I don't know what number it is, but it's going to be 62 or 63, I think, yeah.
The thing is, I'm kind of looking forward to Encanto just because I know there's a song that people actually like from it. So it has staying power.
Yeah.
And Raya and the Last Dragon, it's got a dragon in it, you know.
Yeah, that's true.
Unless it means I'm the last dragon, like her name was Raya Dragon, and she was the only one left in her family, and then and I'm like, cool, that was a fucking kick to the shit.
But yeah, I think we'll probably round off there then today. So I was actually really worried you weren't going to get your Van Halen reference in there. You left it to an hour this time, so it was down to the wire.
I did that on purpose. I thought of it right near the beginning when we talked about Disney Classics, but I was like, I'm going to leave it this time. Just to the end. Just going to wait all the way down there.
And Damone Coffee, this is a great idea. We never found out what that great idea was. I'm never going to know what that great idea was now. But,
Bolt being a summon?
Yeah, oh, actually, yeah, it could have been.
I feel like that's the only idea that was on this.
Yeah. Okay, so we're round off there. So thank you very much for watching. Let us know your thoughts on Bolt if you haven't done so already, if you're watching this video after the fact. And please do consider subscribing to the channel for more movie reviews, discussions, and live streams. I recently got done on a live stream with Everything in Middle-earth yesterday, kind of a summation of Rings of Power Season 2. I do need to try and find time to re-edit and re-upload our coverage of episode 8 of that series because it got took down due to copyright. So I'm going to try and get that out. So that will probably be the next video on the channel, maybe. If not, it will be our review next week. All the Star Wars films are done, so we don't have to attend the cinema at any time soon until a big film comes out. But we'll try and think of some other films, maybe some other things that we can do. We do want to do coverage on the Penguin series at some point as well, probably when that's all said and done. So watch out for that. We'll have stuff on the channel, is what I'm essentially saying. So thank you for everyone who watched tonight and commented along. We appreciate you for doing that. And yeah, we'll see you on the next video. Take care, everyone.